Pugh. That'll do it! That will do it! Pugh for Bournemouth! The roof of the Gold Sands is raised! Everyone here knows what that could mean to this football.
Oh my God. Derby, 23rd in the league. 1 AFC Bournemouth 0. If only it was that way around. Maybe, just maybe, this is the day that supporters can stop, banging on about formations like it is the be all and end all. If you read social media, it seems that football has been reduced to a game of numbers. In the first half, it was 3 at the back, or some would call it 5 at the back. In the second half, we were 4 at the back. But throughout the 90 minutes, we were at 6s and 7s. Derby County were aggressive when they needed to be and clinical when it mattered. Bournemouth's tempo was slow. We were laborious, slow with the ball, technically bereft, and in desperate need of a playmaker. On Twitter, for me and a few other people, it wasn't really the place to be tonight. This is the place where we can direct criticism constructively if we can, and frustration at the players on the pitch. What's going on? I appreciate it's raw and it's very difficult to do that. But let's be fair, the writing has been on the wall for some time, hasn't it, given our form? And it's scary what's happening with the Premier League quality players that we've got. If you want to take part tonight, you can certainly do so. And this is how to do it. Take part. Just go to afcbpodcast.com/take part. Plug your headphones into your device. We'll get through as many people as we can in the next hour. If you can give this video a thumbs up and subscribe if you're new to the channel, there's going to be more videos like this, hopefully a little bit more positive in games to come. But today, we're all feeling a bit shit about what we just witnessed at Dean Court. First person we're going to bring on is Dylan Williams, who is here with us. Also, we've got Billy Day and Morgan Scott standing by too. Dylan, fire away, 1-0. What do you think about that?
Absolutely dreadful, and there's no other word for it. It comes to something when Steve Cook's the most attacking player on the pitch. I mean, it makes absolutely zero sense to me how Brooks can be a winger, but then for most of that game was central. There were so many times on the ball where we were on the edge of the box, and you could just see Brooks chilling more in a cam roll than you could out wide. It just didn't. It made zero sense to me whatsoever.
0 sense. Billy, how you feeling? Raw?
It hurtful. It hurts. 3 games now without a win. When you know our goalkeeper is the best player on the pitch and we're still not winning games, it doesn't feel good. But we've got a lot more to come this season, so who knows what could happen next.
We've got, there's time left, but, it seems like 3 at the back, 4 at the back, 5 at the back, whatever, Morgan, it doesn't seem to matter. Individual desire and technical quality throughout most of that game was bereft. I've seen a number of players that we can usually rely on to hold the ball up, the ball just bouncing off them. The tempo of the game was so slow. Do you remember games like Watford away, 4-0? Games like Southampton in that 3-3, that Dan Gosling goal at Southampton to equalise was one of my favourite Cherries goals of recent history because of the way we broke so quickly. At Watford, that 4-0, Josh King with the afterburners on, crossing for Callum. I think David Brooks scored it in the end after a goalkeeping save. But those kind of goals, we don't see it anymore because we're always so slow with the build-up. And tonight, formations aside, I think just individual quality was not there, was it, Morgan?
Sam, that's one place to start, and people are probably gonna maybe say I'm being too negative, but I'm gonna come out and say that we played like a bunch of girls. Apart from Steve Kirk and maybe Asmir Begovic, I thought the whole team was awful. I thought the subs when they came on, I thought they didn't offer too much difference. To be fair, nice to see Wilshere feature, cool, but so I want to start now. David Brooks is my favourite player, but tonight he was, and for the last few weeks, he's been dreadful. He's been man-marked, so he's been taken out the game before he's even there. Danjuma, I thought, looked very good in the first 3 or 4 minutes, and then he was caught offside a number of times. Some were tight, but after being out for so long, I can't blame him. But when you see Steve Cook putting, he puffed. Did any of you see when he puffed, when he made that slide tackle, when he ran from the one end of the area back to his own goal to make a 50-yard tackle to win that ball? Because he's a leader and he's determined that he wants that football. Now, I didn't see enough fight and determination, and I'm so angry and so hurt, a bit like what Billy was saying. It's hurtful. I'm an AFC Bournemouth fan, and if I went up to Pride Park today, I would be demanding that I got my money back, because I would be bloody furious going in to work tomorrow morning or whatever after a long journey back on a Tuesday evening. I know it's COVID, so lucky we don't have to even go there, but it's just... It's despicable how AFC Bournemouth are meant to be trying to win the league, and we can't even bloody win against Derby.
One thing I just got to say, your very first comment on the show does a big disservice for women's football. And I would say that, it doesn't matter. We were just awful. I wouldn't compare them to anyone. I just thought that they were really...
I didn't mean to offend anyone. Sorry, it's just a matter of...
I just thought...
it's just a matter of frustration. And to be honest with you saw a lot of that on Twitter tonight, so I'm not the only one. At least I'm not, I think I saw something else on Twitter that we won't go into just yet, but yeah. It's just frustrating, Sam. And what I think, after such a positive Super Monday, Happy Monday, I think we called it on the show yesterday, talking about Wilshere, to witness that performance. Luckily, there's a few hours to go in the evening before, but it's just crap, because we want to get to the Premier League at the first time of asking, and it's just, I got more passion in my room watching this game than any of them apart from Stephen Asmir had on that pitch. It's disgusting.
Well, at the moment we are, relying on players that have got Premier League quality to do the business, and arguably we're not seeing it. And I agreed. Whilst I don't think the formation is that much of an issue, I know lots of people say it's turning into 5 at the back or whatever. I thought throughout the first half, our best chance was when Jack Stacey was pushed right up and he squared that ball for Dom Solanke, who, let's face it, he should have scored that. But, we weren't 5 at the back then. And rightly so, we are more defensive when Derby started to attack. And yes, we do become a 5, but it's not like Jack Stacey wasn't getting forward. Adam Smith, not so much. But in the second half, okay, let's go forward at the back. It's still bad. And Derby had more clear-cut chances. Lewis Cook was... our saviour. I think Steve Cook cleared one off the line. Dylan, we were almost fortunate to lose that only 1-0, weren't we?
It's just painful. I mean, one thing I noticed was, don't know whether it was just me, we were really high up. Our defensive line was really, really high. And then their winger just literally bombed down, and then Steve Cook yet again had to chuck himself in there. It's just schoolboy. It's just dreadful. I mean, another thing, I don't know whether you noticed, but there was a couple of times where the ball was coming down from the air, and all the defenders, especially at the end of the first half, were all stood there just wondering, oh yeah, we'll all stand here, wait for the ball to come down, and then one of us will go for it. We won't communicate though.
Yeah,
it's just awful. It's just dreadful.
I just want to interrupt. Just want to talk about the goal that actually occurred. I've looked back at it and I've seen the player and Kelly have gone for a header, and the ball's bounced down, and the ball's hit the hand there. So I'm claiming a handball from what I've looked back. So I feel like we could have actually got a point from it if VAR was in the game, but unfortunately it wasn't, and we've lost the game, and all the fans are feeling really low tonight.
Yeah, you know what I mean. We're clutching at straws, though, aren't we? Derby completely deserved. I mean, Wayne Rooney, I think.
Yeah.
They're a big club. I think, Morgan, you said the old teams like, and you know what, Luton Town, when we played them, I think they were very offended by the way my Facebook and YouTube was going on about, I think Pete said teams like Luton or whatever. And you said teams like Derby, but what you're saying is not, because, Derby are a big club.
Of course.
But obviously it's where they are in the league.
Of course.
They're 23rd, and now we've just helped them to, their first win in a few games. And, arguably, some of the teams like Luton would have given them a harder game than what we did today.
Yeah, and they didn't just beat us. They defended. It takes me. It's probably not a very good comparison, but you know me, I'm going to say it anyway. I remember going to Stoke-on-Trent a few years ago when Andrew Salmon scored, and to get in the ground, we had to go through a war of stewards, and it was like, and God, you wouldn't try anything with more intimidating than watching a game of football. But anyway, it was like a war of. It was like a massive war, or that you couldn't get past Derby tonight, and it was so frustrating. And Derby haven't just won the game by 1-0; they have played it so well to carry on, because it came up that they scored the most goals between, I think, the 75 minute and 96 plus into added time, and they just outdid us. It's so frustrating. There was no creativity. You look at David Brooks, Danjuma. Okay, yes, he wasn't fit. You look at Dom Solanke. I think he looked quite isolated. Surridge came on 60 minutes in. I thought that he could have nicked a goal maybe, but the midfield, Lewis Cook, Jefferson Lerma, they did their best, but again, the back four looked shaky at times, and the back three in the first half. It was just a mess, and it's what's frustrating to sit here and dissect for the next hour or so. There was I can't think of one thing apart from, I think the only decent thing for a matter of time in that game was that header from Lloyd Kelly, when it was a terrific save by the Derby goalkeeper. But apart from that, I can't think of any other moment that we looked promising.
Well, I tell you what, Morgan, you're talking about the next hour or so. You're lucky, because at some point, you can go, because we're going to switch it around. I've got to stand here and do this for the next hour and listen to these opinions. But what we're going to do, we are going to switch it up now. Morgan, I'll leave you in for a little bit. But Dylan, thank you so much for coming on. Really appreciate it, mate. Cheers, buddy. And also to Billy as well. Thank you for coming on. And if you want to get involved, at the bottom of the screen, you can see the link that you need, afcbpodcast.com/take part. That is where you need to go. Plug your headphones into your device, and then we'll get you on. We're going to get through as many people as we can. Looking through some of the comments here, there's a lot of mentions about JT, and it's all about JT. Not many mentions of Graham Jones. One of our first games under JT, we battered West Ham in this formation where we were playing really free football. There's a certain someone maybe starting to impose their brand of football on us. Maybe it's not JT. Who knows? Just want to open the debate. Don't necessarily want to focus on a certain individual. One person that we're going to bring in now is Dan, and aka Jeron, who's here with us. And also Keith is here too. Ross and Daniel are standing by, who we're going to bring in next. Dan, come to you first. That's 90 minutes of our life that we'll never get back, isn't it?
Yeah, but the only advantage to that is we didn't have to pay 10 quid for it. First of all, I do want to say massive credit to Derby. I thought they were exceptional today. If you're a Derby fan, you've got to be pleased with that performance. The way they defended really, really well the entire game. Nothing was for us. It's just, I don't think I've ever been this pissed off after a game. It's just like, these are professional footballers. The basics, as we mentioned this in, I think it was the QPR game, we just couldn't do the basics. You've got to be able to do the basics to achieve anything. Like the little 6-yard passing, aimless balls over the top going to no one. Josh King isolated, Dom isolated. It's just pathetic. And to mention about you mentioned about Graham Jones there, and I did want to agree. Sort of touch on that, because I was listening to the Luton one. I was too angry. I say that now that I'm on here, but I was so angry. I was listening to that one, and the Luton fan was saying about the similar characteristics of that game we played to their last season under Graham Jones. Yeah. You've got to start asking these questions. What is he telling them to do? Because it's just aimless balls across the box. There's no creativity. There's no desire. There's no fight. Just passing it aimlessly, and it just looks like, oh yeah, we made a couple of good passes. Oh, let's just lose the ball now. Let's just do something shit. It doesn't. We can't complete a nice move nothing is completed. There was no, apart from Steve Cook, who I'd say again has had an exceptional season, puts in a shift every single game. I can't think of many positives from that.
Yeah, Keith, Dan, that's absolutely superb. Keith, we're talking about the players have no fight. It almost looks like you're resigned and have no fight left in you because you look distraught after that, mate.
I'm teetotal and I'm about to grab the vodka because that was fucking atrocious. Fucking atrocious.
Don't hold back.
It's not about the coaches. It's them. First principles. You go and press the ball. What was Brooksy fucking doing tonight? What the fuck was he doing tonight? Strolling around and moping and all that. And he's meant to be our talented guy. Danjuma was anonymous. Solanke was like isolated. It's your first principles. That's what you learn at fucking school. Is you show a bit of passion, some desire. I'm sorry about the language, kids, but I am absolutely. That was Watford all over again. That was reminiscent. And then when we went to 4 at the back, they're splitting us. This is Derby splitting us open with 4 at the back. You can forget your formations. You can forget about all of it. If you can't be bothered to turn up for a game and show a bit of desire and fight for your gaffer and fight for your club, then fuck off. Go away, Brooksy. Go up the Man U. Fuck off, Kingy. Go to West Ham or wherever you want to go. I'm really sorry. That was a disgraceful performance. I'm really angry. Really angry.
At this stage, I must just say that the views expressed on this programme are not necessarily those of back of the net, but I think most of them have the sentiment.
I apologise, Sam, for the language. I know there's kids watching.
No, honestly, this channel doesn't earn anything anyway, so don't worry about demonetising it or whatever. Morgan, we'll give you a last point because there are people waiting to get including Tyler, James, Kirk, Daniel and Ross, but I'll give you a final thing to say. Go on.
Completely agree with Keith and Dan there. Everyone Bournemouth fan tonight has a reason to be pissed off, and I can understand. And to be honest with you, Dan, maybe you should go and take charge against the FA Cup if it goes ahead or whatever, because what you're saying is spot on. If you can't do the basics right, then why are they even... It's all about basic football. Now, if you can't put a 5-yard pass together, how do you expect to be playing against people in the Premier League, the best footballers in the world? And it's as simple as that. I'm going to give a man of the match to the boys for having a decent opinion tonight because it was absolutely shambolic. And, wow, if we don't have the FA Cup game, I can only think that's a good thing because I'm not being funny. They need to kick up the backside and something's got to change because if we don't have it soon, there's only one place we're going and that could be to League One.
Morgan, thanks for coming,
mate.
Coming on. Your camera was doing what most of the players were doing tonight, stalling every 2 seconds. Daniel is here. We're going to have a brief word with him. We'll keep the other Dan in. Daniel in Florida. You're usually positive, Daniel. You're usually optimistic. You got a smile on your face. I don't know how. That was pretty poor, wasn't it?
How can you be positive if your team lost to one of the worst teams in the whole division? No one can be happy. I get everyone's anger. I would not be happy either. It's just disappointment.
Yeah. It's where did it go wrong, Daniel? Was it formations? Was it individual players? Is it desire? What's happening?
I feel like Carter Vickers, if I'm saying his name right, I feel like he should have stayed on.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I apologise for my language, Daniel. I really do, but I'm sorry, mate. But you're right. Carter Vickers, he showed a little bit of fight tonight, but wow.
Right, I'm just making sure that everyone knows that they are coming in because Tyler, yes, we're going to bring you in ASAP. Dan, I'll give you aka Jeron, that is. I'll give you a final way to summarise what you saw tonight and what you want to see change-wise ahead of Crawley, which we don't know whether that match is going to go ahead, given the fact that today they've had to get a match postponed with COVID, so players might have more time to train. But thoughts on what we need to do going forward?
As I said, you've got to be doing you've got to have a bit of hunger about you. I was speaking to my mate yesterday. I was watching the Arsenal Newcastle game, and I was saying I couldn't watch Newcastle play like this every week. There's no fight. There's no desire. We played like that Newcastle team. In fact, we probably played worse than that Newcastle team played yesterday. There was no fight, no desire, no creativity, and an improvement. We can do the basics right next week, maybe. We can do the basics right, and we can actually put some moves together without losing the ball every 2 passes. That would be nice.
Yeah, agreed. Dan, thanks very much for coming on. Really appreciate it.
No worries. Thanks for having me on again.
Well done, Dan. Thank you, mate.
Cheers, Dan. Also, Daniel as well in Florida. Thank you so much for coming on, mate. Really appreciate it. Keith, we'll leave you in for a short period of time.
Thank you, mate.
What we're going to do is fill the screen with Ross Devonport over in the US of A. Ross, hope you're doing okay.
I mean, as well as can be expected, Sam, that was just an abject disappointing performance. Just the team just doesn't look like they want to be there. There was a couple of bright spots. Carter, because as Daniel said, looked solid on the ball. He's got a bit of class about him. And then we pulled him off. I don't know where this has all gone wrong. We've had some injury problems, but we're looking so good at the start of the season, and then I can't even pinpoint a spot where it all sort of went wrong or anything that sort of sparked it. It's just like we just lost it completely.
I might be able to shed a bit of light on that. This has all started since that Surridge Stanislas handbags at dawn, and I don't know if the squad's fallen apart, but ever since that Stoke game, it's been quite rapidly downhill, and I don't know if something's going on between the players. Billing was out injured tonight. I don't know how true is that. Has there been a big falling out? I don't know. That if that's the case, you know, we're real in trouble. I really pinpoint it at that moment where they started having a go at each other, and you think, oh, it's passion. But ever since that game onwards, we barely score and look like strangers tonight.
Yeah, I mean, there's been a couple of slight jabs on social media, obviously, from Billing today, who apparently wasn't injured. And it comes back to the stuff from last year where players, you know, that were leaving and those that were sticking around that were saying, "Oh, you hear about what's going on behind the scenes." I thought maybe it had gone when Eddie left, but there's something rotten in the core of that room at the moment.
Yeah, I think so.
What we're going to do, we're going to switch it up. Ross, there's a slight audio issue with your headset for some reason, but I mean, it's not overly bad, but it just keeps on clicking every so often. But I appreciate you coming on. Make sure you follow him on Twitter at his handle down there. That Ross Bloke. Really good to have you on. And you may be on BBC Radio Solent tomorrow morning, is that right?
Oh, we'll see. I told them if they could find a legitimate Dorset person who's meant to get up at midnight, then they could use something else. But I'll be on if I need to be. Tomorrow should be interesting here. There's no doubt about that.
Brilliant. Ross, thanks very much. Cheers, mate. And also, Keith, if you want to come back later, Keith, feel free.
Yes, will do, mate. I need to calm down.
Yeah,
I need to have my vodka.
Make yourself a nice cup of tea. Don't put any vodka in it, and we'll bring Tyler in as well as James and Kirk as well. So, oh my God, I can't wait for this. James is here as well, and Tyler. Hello, mate. Hope you're all right. You all right?
All right, Sam.
Hello, Kirk. Then we'll start with you. How are you?
Yeah, well, Derby for a team that lack maybe quality compared to us on paper showed passion, ambition, drive, and you know what? Half of those players, or probably most of them, ain't even getting paid right now. But you know what?
True.
But you know what? 62 possession again. Doesn't win football matches. 2 shots on target. Asmir Begovic, man the match. Of course he was.
I can sense that you're very angry with what you're seeing there, but I'm not sure it's formation. I mean, you know, previous matches you can put it down to formation. I do agree, but for the first half was equally as poor as the second. I think we looked for a minute in the second half that we could create more. I mean, we started off pretty well, and I thought, brilliant, let's have that momentum continuing. And we tend to, pin them back a little bit more, but end product completely lacking, wasn't it?
Came out of the blocks like greyhounds first minute. I think Danjuma got himself through, probably a bit of rustiness.
Yeah.
Then we turned into snails again. I'm wondering whether we do yoga as part of our training, because we play like we're sleepwalking. First half, I'm not going to go into formations. I can go into formations, but I could have drawn a line down that back five that should have been a 3 with 2 positive wing backs about 20 times in the first half. Every time Derby crossed the ball with the line, we falled into a back 5 every single time. The most touches, the players that had the most touches in the first half, Carter Vickers, 57, Steve Cook, 43, Lloyd Kelly, 33, and even Begovic had 27 touches. Danjuma at halftime, 14.
Wow. But isn't that the point of a back 3, that it does turn into a back 5 when like the opposition are pushing or not? I don't know.
Do you know what it is? Do you know what it is? That's not wrong. That the way that we played that 3-5-2 is a way to play 3-5-2. The problem is when you've got a squad like us, you need to cheat, and we need to be cheating that 3-5-2. Now, when I say cheat, Stacey and Smith need to be pushing up and pushing their fullbacks and their wing backs back. Now, we're playing Derby, who are 3rd from bottom. They're not going to be that proactive. They're going to be trying to take anything from the game. What we did was drop deep, which enabled their fullbacks to push right on. We're not cheating that formation. When you've got a squad like us, we can play 3-5-2, but really we want to be playing 5 midfielders and then the strikers. But we didn't do that. If anyone wants to watch that back, if it's replayed on Sky Sports, watch the first half. And every time a holding midfielder or defender gathers the ball for Derby and takes 1 foot over the halfway line, you'll draw a line between Stacey and Smith every single time. I'm telling you. I sent you a clip, Sam.
Yeah.
That was the 4th time it happened when I actually drew that clip. It wasn't the first time. I thought, I've got to do it. I've got to do it now. And you know what? Just going back to it very quickly, the Luton fan I had on our show that came on last week on the free-for-all, off air, he said to me on my show or our show, he said he talked so much about Graham Jones being such a negative impact on Luton last year. And I didn't want to buy into it. I'm just taking his word for it. Yeah. But you can't go against him potentially being a little bit right. But I don't know. I'm not reading into it. I don't know anything.
Yeah. Well, yeah, all good, valid points. If you want to take part, afcbpodcast.com/take part. Just grab your headphones, plug it into your device. Tyler, you've been very patient. Cheers for that. Where do you begin? Dreadful, isn't it?
Well, I don't try not to be negative, but
but you have to be. You have to be. Yeah, you can't not be.
I've been back when we played Reading a few months ago. We were 2-0 down at half time. I put a tweet out at half time saying I don't think a lot has changed with JT. I got abused. Well, not abused, but I got a lot of criticism because we ended up winning.
Yeah.
But the same problems are there. We keep playing these rubbish formations, and no matter who you play, whether they're at the bottom of the league or at the top of the league, we are playing 2 central midfielders against 3 every week. It causes trouble. It's going to cause awful results. We've scored no goals this season, really. I know we're the 2nd top goal scorers, but I think the rest of the league's awful, to be honest. We just are not the same Bournemouth that we used to be. We went down to 10 men on Saturday, wrongfully so as well. But there was we were better than Luton. But I remember a few years ago, we went down to 10 men against QPR at home when we were chasing for the playoffs. We fight for each other. Each other. We are rubbish at the moment. And we're going to be very lucky if we get the top 6. And I think this season we've been lucky to even be top of the league at one point. I think JT has been the results that we've got. He's got very lucky with Danjuma's brilliance at times. Yeah. The Reading game again was JT. I'll give him credit for that second half turnaround. But Danjuma's got us points this year. So has Stanislas at times. But tactically, we are awful.
Yeah, agreed. I think, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, James, not a brilliant watch. How are you tonight?
No, not really. I felt the formation from the start was completely inept for the first half. There was way too much space between the midfield, the front three, and then the back, which consisted at times of 4 fullbacks. At times we were playing with 4 fullbacks with Cook in the middle. Stacey and Smith were pushed so far back that they couldn't get forward and connect with Brooks and Danjuma, who were completely isolated. The amount of times I saw Begovic to Carter Vickers to Stacey, back to Carter Vickers, back to Begovic, and then a long ball in that first half, because there was just no outlet. There was no support. Kelly completely at fault for the goal, entirely at fault for the goal, and he's clearly a much better left back than he is a centre back. The positive is Steve Cook's still fighting. Steve Cook's the captain. He's still wearing that armband on, firmly on his chest, as far as I can see. And Begovic is keeping us in games. But by the time the changes came second half, and there were times in the Howe administration where he would change things in the first half if it wasn't working. He would make substitutes in the first half if the formation was wrong, which it so clearly was tonight. But by the time we got to half time, that pitch was cutting up so bad and the rain was coming down that it was so difficult to come back. January sucks. January sucks for so many reasons, mainly because of the transfer window. And there must be so many players in that squad who've got agents in their ears and are eyeing up options. The sooner we can get through January, the better. The sooner we can get rid of speculation, the better. And the sooner we can come together as a team, the better. And I think this game also highlights how important fans are in stadiums, because the away support tonight for Bournemouth would not have let the squad get away with the performance, particularly that was put in the first half. There's hope there because we have quality. There's hope there because we have a captain who cares and who clearly wants to be there and is clearly driving the club forward. There's hope there because we have a world-class goalkeeper between the sticks. But the sooner we can get through January, and the sooner it can hopefully all come back together again.
I almost feel like if we did, like based on how we've been so far, if we did manage to get promotion this season, Kirk, we might as well have have a stripy jumper, a swag bag, and a balaclava, because that's what it would feel like. It would feel like robbery based on how we're playing. It's not good, and this form cannot continue, can it? It can't, because playoffs probably won't even happen based on. I don't know. I haven't looked at the league table. Obviously, there are teams that are playing now, teams that are playing tomorrow as well. I'm dreaded. I dread to see where we'll end up.
In other news, Reading breezed past Coventry. But we're the second highest goal scorers in the league, 5 into the last 7 though.
Yeah.
So, got to put things in perspective. I got a bit of stick on Saturday for talking about not scoring enough goals and claiming our goalkeeper being man the match, and I've had it all weekend. What you've got to remember is, I got a tweet from someone saying that Alisson got man the match at the weekend. Yeah, he got man the match against Man United, who are top of the Premier League. Our goalkeeper's getting man the matches against teams that are bottom in the relegation zone and in the bottom half of the table. That's my point. I'm not claiming that our goalkeeper shouldn't be getting man the matches, but not as many as he is, and not against teams that we should be absolutely destroying.
I think, some people say, people using positives as a negative, but you can spin the negative on the whole team, can't you? And the whole team are just, well, I say the whole team. There are only a handful of players this season that seem to be doing the business for us, aren't there?
Yeah, I just literally can't put my finger on it. I thought, first minute, here we go, we're back. First attack, nearly through on goal, didn't really connect with it, didn't get it down. And then it's just all in front again. And I just don't get it, because clearly JT and the team know it. They'll be in the office tomorrow with their analysis team breaking it all down for them. I mean, we're breaking it down and we get one view at it and talk about it on your show, Sam. They clearly know what the problems are, but why are they coming out 2 days, 3 days later playing like snails again? I don't get, let's look at when we've had success this year, Sam, when teams have gone toe to toe with us. Blackburn, opening day of the season, beat them. West Ham, beat them. Barnsley went toe to toe with us on a Friday night, battered them. Teams now have worked out, actually, don't go toe to toe with them, just drop 20 yards off them, because all they'll do is play snail-paced football in front of you. And that's what we've come up against. No team now is deciding to go toe to toe with us. And that's why we can't get Danjuma one-on-one with players anymore.
So, Tyler, how do we combat that when there are teams that are just happy to sit and almost try to, soak it up and get men behind the ball? Because, I don't know. seems like you just may have paused there. Yeah, his connection. So, James, I'll put the question to you. How do we combat that?
My last note, back to basics 4-4-2. That's what I've written down. I mean, I know that sounds so annoying, but it is. It's just it's a simple back to basics thing, really. And giving the mid, we've looked our best when we've had support in the midfield, when we've put three in midfield, when we've had someone roaming in there to create something through the middle, because we're clearly not doing it down the flanks at the moment. So I think it just has to be a back to basics thing for me, really. Potentially with like playing Surridge up front, with Dom from the start. I just think at times Solanke's been so he's played up front on his own so much this season. He's shown so much quality up there in terms of the way that he holds the ball up and brings other people into the game, and if this season goes southward, it would seem like an awfully bad missed opportunity, I think.
I still think we get playoffs. I still think we get players. We'll get through this spell. We'll pick up enough points. Automatics. I think. I just don't think we're going to hurt enough teams, and I don't know if we've got the answer to break these teams down. Because if teams do go toe to toe with us, I think we'll hurt them. But they're not doing that anymore.
No, they're not. Steve Hensman is also joining us as well. Steve, how are you?
Sorry, mate. I was just texting you back in the chat.
Yeah, that's okay. No worries. It looks like you've been banished to the garage. Is that so you don't, wreck anything inside the house? If you make any, if you feel like doing any petrol bombs, it's all going to be contained.
Yeah, the TV's only hanging on by one side of its bracket at the moment, but no,
all right.
No, I can smoke out here, mate, and I feel like I needed one tonight. What do we? Well, we're just regurgitating the same stuff. We keep playing this 3-4-3 thing. Like James has just been saying, we're just getting overrun in midfield. I don't like the two in there. It's not working. Dom's isolated all the time. Like Kirk's just saying, surely the staff can see it because we can. And it just seems so simple to me. Like you say, get back to basics. Play a balanced side. That's got as much as it has going forward as it's got in defence. It just seems simple stuff. Press from the front and take these games to these teams. Like sit there and play in front of them and just invite. Well, again, we didn't deal with a ball into the box, did we?
Aerials again.
Can't deal with balls into the box. And like James said, I think it was James said, Kelly was massively at fault for that. We'll just go and head the ball. It's a simple first rule of being a central defender. Sorry, but I get quite passionate about defending and just go and head the ball. It's simple. There are too many times they stare. They're there watching the player, watching what his movement is. Don't watch the player. By the time we've done that, they've got the ball in, and you're lost. So frustrating. Sorry.
The one stat I don't have is the average height of our football team, but we lose an awful lot of matches aerially.
I've just come off that.
Kelly's he's not a small player. He's a decent sized lad.
I've just come off that Sean Teal podcast that you put up, and there's no way
I was watching that earlier.
would allow that to happen off a corner. And I was thinking also, when was the last time we as a club looked a threat from corners? I'm thinking it's about 1992 when we had Jimmy Quinn. But I can't remember the last time we actually looked like a significant threat from corners, going forward. So it's a worry both ends of the pitch, isn't it?
It is. James, thank you so much for coming on. We're going to switch it up. Many thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Cheers, mate. Thank you. And what we're going to do is bring in Jamie, who's with us. Keith standing by. We're going to bring him in a bit later on as well. And Kirk, before you go, you have to give a shout out for your channel, surely.
Yeah, so I'll do a post-reaction video tomorrow at some point. I'll drop that out. I will try and keep it as positive as I can.
Get Keith on there.
Yeah,
I will try and keep it as positive as I can, but we've got to realise what's going on here. And as I said, I got a bit of stick at the weekend, but it's not being negative. I'm trying to just point out the problems we're having at the moment. We'll get through it. I still think we'll get playoffs. but we've got to find a way of scoring goals early, because when we do score goals early, it'll give us a better chance, and it'll make teams then have to be a little bit more proactive, and then we can hurt teams even more. But we're just not doing enough early doors. I gave that stat to Simon last night on our show. I said that Derby have only conceded 5 goals since November the 28th, and they've all come in the second half. There's your stat. That's what JT should have been working on. And Derby would obviously been looking at staying in the game as long as possible. Did their job. So, yeah. But we go again against Reading in 2 weeks' time, or week and a half's time.
Looking forward to that. Kirk, thanks so much for coming on.
No worries, thank you.
Cheers, Kirk. Thank you very much. Also, we've got we'll bring Keith back shortly, but Ben's also standing by. But Jamie, my God, mate. We thought this could be the match to get things back on track, but we didn't even see the desire today, did we?
Never mind desire. Basics, trapping the football, passing from just on the floor. You could see on TV that the roll of the ball wasn't true, but it seemed to affect our players so many times. Like the ball would go from between the back three, no end of time, and that's happening far too often across the back three and between Begovic. I think Kirk said the stat about the actual touches of the back three and the goalkeeper, and that's happening far too often. They'd be impatient, but then you've got to go forward and have a bit of purpose. But when the ball did get up to the front three, the ball come 5 yards back the way off their first touch, and their second touch was a tackle. And you can talk systems until you're in the phase. You can talk about tactics. And that is important, and that's where we have struggled a little bit in recent games. But the first half today was absolutely horrendous, and just the basics of football. And if you start like that, then and give them a heads up, like people said on the corner, Kelly, where's the aggression? Doesn't strike me as definitely not a traditional centre half, but he's got to be more aggressive there. Then even on the second ball, like with everyone's mannequins in the box, with reaction. Begovic, no chance, obviously, but it's the first half is just basics. We don't look good in a 3-4-3 or just 2 double pivot. And I said that last week on you, and that's still the case. It doesn't work. Lerma and Cook don't sort of match up together in a 2. Lerma looks better in a 3. Lewis Cook looks better in a 3. We now have the players in Wilshere coming in, Gosling, Billing, all those players to play that system. I think that has to happen moving forward. However you want to play that triangle, that has to happen. But at the end of the day, if you cannot do the basics of football, no matter what system you play, you're going to be in for trouble. And that's what we were in the first half.
Yeah, we were, and Lloyd Kelly. People have been talking about his height, Ben, but you would say that he's not really meant to be a centre half anyway.
Well, up until he came to us, he was playing at fullback most of the time, a bit like Tyrone, where we tried to turn.
Yeah.
In truth, he plays for England nowadays, so maybe that's ahead of Lloyd. But no, I mean the thing for me was we're talking about the formation. And the 3 at the back and the being overrun in midfield. I just feel like we've been used to being overrun in midfield, and we're just trying to bypass it constantly. And which is all well and good if we've got Callum up front who could hold the ball up for an extended period of time whilst that midfield actually caught up to support him. But that doesn't seem to be happening. So we end up playing these long crossfield Hollywood quarterback balls, whatever you want to call it, which just lead to nothing. If we're going to do that, just straight up play 4-0-6 and just have no midfielders at all. You know what I mean? I'm frustrated.
Look at the Stanislas and Danjuma type goals. The Stanislas goal against Nottingham Forest and against Stoke, isn't it? That's what they're looking for. But the amount of aimless long balls tonight was just. Especially the second half. Obviously, first half we couldn't pass to it. At least in the second half, we actually made some passes, even if they were 50 yards at the back, up the park. We actually had a red and black shirt. First half, we couldn't actually pass to our own players, and when we did, they couldn't trap the ball. But that's what they're looking for. Lewis Cook especially looks for it all the time, doesn't he? But it's happening far too often. It's like the team's disconnected from the back line to the front line. It's like far too much distance between them, and there's long balls. And then when it goes up, there's no one in midfield because we only got 2 in there that could actually pick up the second ball. It just seems like there's a lack of ideas.
And whenever Lerma wins the ball in midfield, obviously that's a foul against him. no matter what he does.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Do you think if we put Jack, behind whoever's up top, that might be that link we need?
The worry there is if we end up playing a diamond, we've got no width, and width is the Bournemouth way. Historically, we've always had width, and I don't see how we can play 4 at the back and someone behind the front 2 without sacrificing an immense amount of width. Now, you either ask Stacey and Smith or Rico to run the whole length of the pitch for 90 minutes, and therefore we can have 3 in the middle and still hopefully cover the back. But I don't know what the answer is. We need 12 men on the pitch, basically.
Heather,
You just have 2 wingers, don't you? Danjuma and Brooks, maybe.
Yeah, I completely agree.
And
Just
then one striker.
Steve, Heather likes your top.
Well, she must like yours as well, then, mate.
Exactly, Heather. Favouritism. I'm not having that.
It's just because I put Phil Billing in my team the other day. She loved that.
Yeah, exactly. We've got a couple of people waiting, but Jamie, have a closing remark of what you feel we need to do in our next game.
Score goals. That'd be a start. I think we need, if we're going to play 3 at the back. If he seriously does want to play the 3 at the back, then you've got to go 3-5-2, and you sacrifice either a wide player or you do it in a different way. If he's adamant he's got to do that. I don't know if we're playing against Crawley on Saturday. I don't know whether that game's going to go ahead with the COVID and stuff. I think Brooks has to play. He needs to play into some form. Danjuma needs to play because he needs to get match minutes. Stacey probably needs to go again because he needs match minutes. Because Mepham needs to play. He needs match minutes. We need to get playing people. I know people want to rest the players and stuff for the league and stuff, but the way we're playing at the moment, I feel we need to play people into form, some kind of form. I don't know whether he's going to move to 4-3-3 or 4-2-3-1, but I feel like he should, especially at home when teams sitting back against us, because I don't think you need the extra centre half. But yeah, I think we got to find a way to get our match winners into the game more and stop playing it around the back line and the goalkeeper for majority of the time we have possession, and then maybe get the ball in around their 18-yard box rather than ours and create some chances.
Yeah, agreed. Jamie, thanks very much for coming on. Steve, we're going to swap it around as well. So cheers, guys.
No worries,
nice one. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. And mate, get yourself in the warm, Steve. It's cold out there.
It's freezing out here. I've got the coffee though, so I'm all right.
Oh, you're fine then. You're fine.
Personalised as well. Look at this. Look.
Oh, beautiful.
No,
we know where you live now. I'm
there you go. Look.
Oh, there we go. We're at Vitality Stadium. Good man. Cheers, Steve. Thanks very much for coming on. Keith. We only gave him a short amount of airtime earlier, but he was effing and blinding. Felt as though he needed to calm down. So we're going to bring him back. We don't usually bring you people back in, otherwise we didn't want to set a precedent. But for Keith, I said come back. He's going to come back. Firstly, Ben Phillips is with us as well. So we've got 2 Bens. We've got Ben C and Ben P, let's call him. Ben Phillips. Dreadful, eh?
Oh, my God. It was awful. I just didn't think we had a single... I just don't know what to say. We didn't have any creativity in the team. We didn't look like we had any attacking threat. Didn't look like anyone really wanted to be there. And I think we maybe took the game too easy, thinking, Derby near the bottom, we'll have an easy 3-0 and job done. But you can't think like that in the Championship. As we've seen against teams like Luton and Millwall, they're lower down the table, and they've probably been the better team against us. So I feel like we need more. I think we need to maybe go into the January transfer window, get, I reckon, another striker, maybe another winger, and another good experienced defender. Because at the moment, I honestly can't see us getting in the top 6 if we carry on playing the way that we're playing.
Ben, P, that is. Can you give us anything positive to go on from tonight? I mean, but don't say Asmir. That's all I'll say, because obviously he kept us in it, and he's the person we fall back on, as Kirk said. What else was positive from tonight?
I feel like Cameron Carter-Vickers was good. Obviously in the first half. I also think that Steve Cook was good, so I think those 2 were quite good. I think that Lewis Cook was also probably our one player that was looking to like spread the play out and actually get the ball moving quickly. But I can't really credit our front three because Solanke missed a sitter in like the first 5 minutes. Brooks didn't really do a lot, lost the ball quite a few times, and Danjuma got caught offside about 10 times.
Yeah. Yeah, everyone was looking at Danjuma coming back thinking he was going to be our saviour. And sometimes I think as a fan base, I mean, it's not a bad thing because it's the players on the pitch that are ones that, determine what happens. But us fans look at these individuals that come back in and think, they're going to save our bacon. When David Brooks came back during Project Restart, we thought he was the answer. The pressure was on him. He wasn't. When Josh King has come back into the side, even this season, we're thinking he's going to be brilliant, and he's not really delivered so far. And Danjuma tonight was completely off it, but understandable given the amount of time he was out. Sometimes, Keith, you just think, well, why not just put the players in that we know have got desire?
Absolutely.
Talking your Sam Surridges, your Dan Goslings, players like that.
Absolutely. I apologise for my outburst earlier. But look, I wonder if there is something more strategic going on, and if we have actually some rot inside the squad. Because tonight's performance was so reminiscent of the Watford game, so reminiscent of the Newcastle game. There's something that is going on that has already done one manager in, potentially could do another manager in, and I don't know where that's coming from. The Simpson situation, he's here, he's not here. What is going on within the squad? Because if the coaching team can't get on top of that, irrespective of what we talk about, and I thought Jamie's brilliant, really, really good insights from him, and James as well, superb insights, and everyone else. But if there is a division within the squad, if there is cliques and a rotten dressing room, then that could be doom. That could really be doom. Have we got players in there who are trading on their egos, trading on the fact that they might go elsewhere? I don't know if anyone's ever seen Sunderland die, the first season at least, and you see what happens when you've got a dressing room that is at war with itself, and that's my fear. And James was right. This transfer window, it just seems to bring out the worst in us, not the best in us, and that is my real fear. Because once you lose the dressing room, not necessarily with the coaches, but with each other, that's really hard to get back, and that can just it's like a cancer. It would just eat into us, and I don't know if anyone was observing that. As I say, I come back to that flashpoint earlier with Surridge and Stanislas and the way they went, and you think passion, desire, but that point onwards, it seems to have just run away with itself. And Billings' injury is an interesting thing, and what he tweeted today. So what's going on?
Yeah,
thank you. Yeah, Ben.
Apparently, Philip Billing almost stormed out of training yesterday, and he hasn't really been seen since. Because I've seen a repost on Instagram from Twitter from, I think it was Chris Temple, saying that not Chris Temple, Jason Tyndall doesn't really know what's happening with Philip Billing, and he can't really gauge anything about if he wants to play for the club or not. Because I know he's got a bit of a reputation to almost not care if a team isn't doing well, and then he's gone. So I'm not sure what's happening.
Which is weird because he was playing really well for us. So I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just looking for a few comments. Simon, typical ex-Premier League side, blah, 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 post, halftime, pre-match analysis, yawn. Yet you're here watching, Simon. What does that say?
Clearly, Derby's podcasts aren't that great.
Yeah. Ben, go on. Yeah, you're going to pick up on something Keith said there.
On both sides, really. Now, toxic dressing room, players too big for their boots. Are we leaning into this? We're just angry that players earn a lot of money, blah blah blah.
No.
Because I'm not saying you necessarily are, Keith, but there's something we hear a lot. a lot of the time, and it's a worry. But Ben, what you said earlier, Chris Temple said that they got an update from the club during the second half, which said that Phil had left training in a hurry yesterday, and they assumed it was down to an injury, which was why they passed that information on to Chris, and therefore it came out during Solent. So if he stormed off, that would fit the same events. But I mean, but this talk of people on social media, basically we've got Phil Billings saying, "I didn't realise I was injured," and then we've got Namdi with a smiley face about not being in the squad. The other week. Now that's basically two players who are saying, "I want to be part of this team. I want to be involved in these matches." And that's not a bad thing, because there's a few players on the pitch recently who might have said they wanted to be involved in these games, but don't appear to have shown that to us. So I don't know. Sometimes I think we just like to blame players' lifestyles and yes, they live in a completely different university, you and I, but
it's. Sorry, Sam.
I was about to say, Ben, do you feel as though this is this season or bust? The pressure's on, because you can just imagine that all these players will go, and it'll almost be a complete rebuild that would be needed in the Championship next season. It's almost do or die, isn't it? But the players don't seem to know that.
I do think it's do or die in many senses. There are at least 5 players we can think of who are definitely going to lose if we don't get promoted immediately. And then when we were looking at selling Jack Simpson to Cardiff earlier on, obviously he couldn't agree personal terms with them or decide that he didn't want to move, he wanted to stay and fight for his place. Fair play to him. But that's the kind of player who next year we might well be relying on if we don't get promoted. So yeah, it's a curious one.
It is. What we're going to do, we're going to switch it up because we've got a couple of people waiting. So Ben, aka Cockbeard, thank you so much for coming on. Really appreciate it.
Cheers, guys. Appreciate it.
Brilliant.
Good night, Dave. See you later.
And
see you later, buddy.
You know what? It feels later than what it is in the evening. It's only 8:57. It's just because I kind of assume it's a 7:45 one. Ben Phillips, thanks so much for coming on. Really appreciate it, mate.
Thank you.
Cheers, buddy. And Keith, we'll leave you in just because there's 2 more to come on, and we're going to probably wrap it up after this.
No worries, fella.
So when you want to see a happy face on the pod, this is the man we need to bring in. Let's see what his face is like today.
Yeah.
You look how I feel. Filippo's here as well. Filippo. It's frustrating, isn't it? But anyway. Oh, your audio sounds a little bit croaky, Filippo. Do you want to try speaking again?
Yeah.
The audio is a bit funny. So what if you take off your headphones and just do it without? That'll be fine, because it just seems a bit robotic. I don't know if everyone else is hearing the same. Are you?
Yeah,
it's a bit like a Dalek.
Okay, yeah, we'll try you again in a sec, mate. So I'll give you a chance to to come out and then come back in. Craig Beasley. Wow. Shocking. How do you think Lee feels after seeing that?
Well, he's probably quite happy because Derby are desperate for the points. But like Kirk said, some of those players haven't even been paid, or been paid 50% of their wages. Absolutely shambolic. Absolutely shambolic. Let's start with the obvious one, Smithy. Again, I don't know. He's going. JT seems to pick Smith religiously at the moment, and I think Smithy does need to be dropped. He can do it. We know he can do it. He's just not doing it. Brooks.
Yes.
Well.
Wow.
I don't know what he was up to today. How many actual saves did Roos have to make? There was that one very decent save he made, and Stacey flashed it just past the post. That was unlucky. To be honest, Stacey was probably the best player. I don't know if you guys agree with that.
CCV, I thought, was quite decent as well.
Yeah. Not he wasn't bad. Cookie, you know what you're getting from him.
Cookie,
Passion. Yeah. Solanke just, I
He
can't
looks
see how
isolated, doesn't he, Craig? He looks
Yeah, he
absolutely
is.
isolated, and he's the only one that's putting any press on at all from up top. But Brooks is a conversation and a half with him tonight. He was absolutely shocking, and
he's a completely different player to the one that we know he can be. Just
transfer window time, isn't it?
well, at the end of the day, the club are paying the players' wages. You know, until that point where those players, you know, get an offer and we accept it, you know, they give 110% for our club. That is it. That is it. You know, I don't think Josh King did, you know, with his first touch, did have an attempt. After that, you know, non-entity. Jack Wilshere did all right when he come on. You know, but shambolic all round. Kelly, well, what was he doing for that ball crossed in? You know, he was in front of his man. He'd got, you know, in front of his man, and he ducked. You know, and he knew he was behind him.
Could you question the fact that almost having three at the back, there's more of an opportunity to exonerate yourself of the responsibility of marking a particular man. You know, when it's two, you know what you're doing, but it seems to be that, you know, when there are three at the back, you sort of, I don't know, maybe there's that excuse to, you know, not pick up a certain marker, because I mean, that, you know, that was a set piece that we really should have done better with.
Well, yeah, exactly, a set piece. You know, I can't make that excuse for him, because at the end of the day, you know, Stacey would have been in there, Smithy would have been in there. You know, there should have been men marking. And to be honest, Kelly was marking the goal scorer and just ducked. You know, if he had actually kept his head where it was, you know, he would have got to that slight jump. To be honest, he didn't even need to leap. You know, a slight jump, header away, you know, and go from there. But
you know what? This possibly isn't the most popular thing to say, but you know, where I've seen Kelly do better is where he, you know, he's up the pitch and he's wing back and actually just goes further on up. We've seen how good his left foot delivery can be. He forged one of the best chances we had against Luton, where he whipped the ball in really quickly, and Riquelme had that shot that he didn't need to get any power on it. The keeper made a meal of it. It was fairly easy for him, but it was a decent shot on target. And you know, he's shown, I think in the Reading match, he fired the ball in first time low. Dom Solanke didn't have to do anything, and he just got his foot on the ball and then scored a goal. I think so. I don't think, like, in some ways, even though he's a defender, I don't think he needs that, you know, defensive responsibility. And if we are going to persevere with three at the back, you know, Jack Simpson, the one that was supposed to be going to Cardiff but no longer isn't, who's left-footed, sometimes I think train him to be on the left side of Steve Cook and have Chris Mepham or Cameron Carter-Vickers on his right. And
Diego.
And, you know, the reason I say, you know, Lloyd Kelly over Smith is that Smith, whether he's full-back, wing-back, whatever, he always cuts inside. He always goes left. When you're on the left side, you can't go left because you go out of play, and he doesn't seem to want to bomb you down the wing. He also doesn't want to come inside, and there was such an imbalance. You could see that because Jack Stacey, that superb chance, Jefferson Lerma, long raking ball, found Jack Stacey, took a touch, he got the ball into Solanke, who should have done better with that. But what an absolutely golden chance that was. But you didn't see it happening the other way around. Smith wasn't getting forward, you know, that much, or if he was, there would be ranks of Derby midfielders and defenders behind the ball when they were all organised. We just couldn't catch them on the break on that side.
Sam, you've hit the nail straight on the head with Smith. You know, I think I'm losing patience with him. You know, I really am losing patience. Rico definitely is better on that side, and you know, would get the nod every single game for me.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I do love Smith. I do. You know, I do love him.
Same here for what he's done in the past.
Filippo, sorry, mate, you've been very quiet, but wow, not a great game. How are you, firstly?
Yeah. First, can you hear me?
Perfectly.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gutted, Sam. I'm gutted because today Today we another first half without shots on goal, and we played only the final minutes, when Derby, of course, they were closed in their area because in the field, because they are struggling as well. But again, we struggle with this team. I really don't know what is the problem. We finished the game with Steve Cook in attack.
People are saying that you being here is making a day, by the way.
Thanks everybody for writing about I bring the only happy thing of the day and all these things. Thanks for the love, but today is no smile even for me because
it's it's a hard one to work out sometimes, Keith. It's I don't really know where to go from there.
I think having Diego as the centre back and Kelly as the wing back is a solution. But if it's more fundamental than that, if we have players, and I think we know who we got in our minds when we think of who we're carrying at the moment, then that's a huge problem. As I say, Eddie went in part because of the behaviour of the players and their attitude, and that was part of his downfall. And if this carries on, thank God we could get through this transfer window. We were halfway through it, but if it carries on like this, irrespective of what tactics we're going to talk, whatever's going on, I can't but feel fundamentally, and it's not. I understand what Ben's saying about lifestyle. It's not that. Is if you fall out with each other, it's a team game, and if you don't want to play for each other, we could get Johan Cruyff from the grave and manage us, and it wouldn't make a difference. We've seen this so many times. The French side blow up, or Sunderland, or you can pick any number of teams, and no team is performing consistently at the moment, but tonight's performance was just absolutely abysmal. As I say, Brooks just didn't show any interest in the game at all. No interest.
Yeah, agree. Completely agree. He just... Where's the passion gone from him? Earlier on in the season, he's done some great stuff this year. Tonight, you'd think against a team second from bottom, that he would actually... I just don't know. I think, to be honest, I'm thinking of formations because I think we've got to go back to a back four. I think we've got to go to a 4-5-1 or a 4-4-2. Probably more 4-5-1. Bring Wilshere into it. I think Wilshere needs to start against Reading.
Yeah. What frightens me though, when we did go 4 at the back, is they split us. They were splitting us, and that which shows as I say, I don't know if it's about shape, formation. I think it's more fundamental. I just got this horrible feeling in the pit of my stomach that hold on, we're doing this again, and that squad we've sold Ake, but they were never the problem. We've got a core of players. I think we all know who they are, or have some idea of who they are, who are just not wanting to play for their teammates. And if these guys want to go to the Prem and be the big guys, no team is going to have them. No team would put up with some of that. The nonchalant walking about, the sulking, the not looking to wanting the ball and take responsibility. And that's really what shocked me about tonight, and that's why I was so angry, Craig. Angry.
On paper, we have a team that should be able to compete, or get in those top 2. We have got probably one of the strongest, if not the strongest team in the league. At this rate, we've scored 4 goals now in 6 games. Derby have scored more. Wickham have scored more. Rotherham have scored more. Reading have almost doubled it. That is relegation form. what we are doing at the moment. And to be honest, we will, if this carries on much longer, we will even miss out on the playoffs. The top two, I think, forget it at the moment, because until performances and JT sticks a rocket up their arse, put nicely, I can't see it in a million years.
He's got to drop a few people. I think King's a busted flush, and I think Mr. Brooks needs maybe a little bit of time for tactical reasons out of it for a little while, and go and consider his career, because he's got all a wonderful talent. He could be at the very, very highest levels of football, but if you do not show 110% commitment to your game, to your teammates, and you stroll around like he did tonight, Willow, who's every 5 minutes was saying, we're carrying this fella, and it's not been just this game, it's the last game, it's the last 4 games we've been carrying this fella. And for all the best will in the world, talent can take you so far, but desire, love for the game, love for your teammates.
Keith, I'm going to swap it round. Craig, I'll
Sam, you've been very generous with me tonight, and I apologise again for my language, but I love this club and I love the fans, and I've just can I recommend Craigie and Kirky's channel, because it's brilliant as well. We deserve better than that, and some of these players need to have a long hard look in the mirror and take an example from their captain, who has shown his commitment. If you can only match 50% of that, you're doing a better job, and you boys who pay your season tickets deserve better than that disgraceful behaviour tonight.
Keith, that's why I didn't jump on straight away.
To be fair, down and there we go.
I love you all, boys and girls. I love you all.
Take care, mate.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers,
nice
Keith.
to have you on. Filippo, come to you shortly. Right, you saw some of the messages that have been put on screen.
Yeah.
And that was with regards to some unnecessary stuff that was going on Twitter this evening. Look, we're all really frustrated. Twitter wasn't the place to be tonight. This has been the place where hopefully we can direct criticism. Some of it has been constructive. Some of it's just been frustration about the players on the pitch. The writing's been on the wall for a lot of time with regards to how we're playing, but that doesn't mean all of a sudden you should be, targeting other fans, and especially, I'll name him, Tom, who has been on this channel and has been very open about bipolar, stuff like that. Someone who uses positivity as a mechanism to keep going. So to create GIFs, Photoshop images on your phone, deriding him of the one thing that most fans cling on to football, and that's faith. I don't know. It's uncalled for. Target the players, target the team, not each other. We all want the same thing, okay? Right. Hi, Jeff.
Hi, Sam.
How are you? Yeah. Okay. Whilst you're thinking, Jeremy's here as well from North Carolina. Jeremy, how are you?
Man, I actually did not get to watch the game, so I guess I'm doing better than most.
You're lucky you. Yeah. Jeff, go on. You've composed yourself now. I see.
I often think of other games when I watch a performance like that, and that made me think of Crystal Palace at home with 9 games to go.
Yep.
We did a pod after that said, do they know we're 18th? It feels like the same. It feels like the same. We all know how good the players are, and yet the inability to pass the ball to each other, the inability to make space and help a teammate out, the lack of desire against a team. You know when you're going into a game like Derby. I mean, every team is playing exactly the same way against us, and they're playing with heart and with fight because they want to beat us because we're a scalp. And yet we go into every game naive in the belief that they'll just wear themselves out and we'll win this one. Where's the fight? Where is that desire? The players are not fit to wear the shirt. on a performance like tonight?
Yeah, well, I think you should tell it like it is, and you know what, you very much have. Just looking through some of the comments here, someone, Steve, here to say, can you connect with me through Facebook? To be honest, Steve, barely use Facebook. I barely use it at all, mate. So the best way to keep in touch is through Twitter. So just follow me at Sam Davis UK, because Twitter, Facebook, I'm certainly not very active on. But yeah, that's Twitter. Jeremy, you didn't watch the game, which was a good thing. You've heard lots of opinion. You've probably read a load of stuff as well. What are your thoughts on what you're hearing?
Boy, I tell you, Jeff is spot on. I'm to say I'm disappointed is an understatement, and I think I'm afraid that the overwhelming majority in the dressing room, coaches to players, experienced last year's relegation season. And so it's almost kind of like the elephant in the room that no one wants to acknowledge or talk about yet. I wonder if this is a lingering effect to that. And so the minute some adversity is faced, they just go to the muscle memory, right? Which is dropping their heads. I just don't see confidence. I'm not going to say they don't care. It seems like they don't care. I think there's a total lack of confidence, and I'm not convinced, and this is not a popular thing with some, I'm not convinced they're believers in JT. I don't know if he's still got the dressing room, especially as we've all said, you continue to go out with the same guys, with the same formation, with the same game plan, match in and match out. Can you blame the players necessarily if it doesn't work, yet you're told to keep doing the same thing? Again, they're professionals. They should be held to a higher standard. I'm not defending them in that way, but sooner or later, someone's got to look at JT and say, why not play the young kids like we're talking about? What else do you have to lose? We're in a funk right now, and we won't make the playoffs if this continues.
Yeah, no, we won't. We absolutely won't. And Jeff, it's worrying at the moment, but a lot of people are focusing on JT, but there's also a certain Graham Jones that other fans have warned us about, saying, his style is going to heck you over, so to speak. And I mean, it seems to be that we want to play in a particular way. It's not working by the looks of it. Just wonder if there are any controversies with regards to whether JT and him are singing from the same hymn sheet, because whilst it served us well early doors, certainly doesn't seem to now.
Yeah, I think there's always a period in the season where you sort of look at a team's performance and you think, do they believe in what the coaches are coaching them?
Yep. And
I think we're at that point. It's a system that we've played for many games, 3-4-3 or 3-5-2, call it what you want, but it's a system we've played for a number of games this season, and the key to playing it well, as I've said on the pod before, is that the wing backs have to play like wing backs. Yeah. Stacey got a really good cross into Solanke that he should score from in that first half. He misses, but aside from that, did he get down that right hand side and do anything similar in that first half? No. Adam Smith playing on that left-hand side again, doesn't do it. And doesn't do it at all because he's a right-footed player. So you're playing a system that doesn't suit the players. When the players know that they're being told to play a system that doesn't suit them,
that's exactly right.
They lose faith. It's the same in any sport.
Yep.
You have to believe what you're being coached. And what I saw tonight was a distinct lack of appetite from the players who arguably thought to themselves, this doesn't suit us because we know what our strengths are, and therefore we're going to tell the coaches in no uncertain terms that we don't believe in it by not really giving a fuck, if I can say that.
No, you can't.
Yeah, it's extremely disappointing. But again, that's human nature for all of us. Whether you're a professional football player or you're a janitor or someone in between, that's human nature, and that's the psychology of anything, right? I liken it back to it, for those of you, if any of you like the NHL hockey, right? So about 5.5 years ago, the Pittsburgh Penguins, who have won many Stanley Cups, I remember this like it was yesterday. They were 12th in their conference. They were struggling, and they fired the coach. brought in a new coach, and they're the best players in the league play for them, and they turned it around and won the Stanley Cup. Same team, same guys, just a new voice, a different style of play. They changed their style. They went from being very defensive to more aggressive and offensive minded. And again, I'm not the Grim Reaper here. I'm not saying somebody go get the hook and get Jason Tyndall out and Graham Jones. However, right now, man, something's got to change, or you almost have to make a change in order to change the trajectory of the season. And that's the sad reality. I think we all admit and know. Well, we won't admit it. We just kind of know it deep down. So
maybe.
I think if you're in charge of that team, you get the players together, and you or maybe even just talk to the senior players on that team, Steve Cook, and say, Steve, what's going wrong? Let's sort it out. What do the players want to play? And we'll play it. It's almost that serious, you know. There doesn't seem to be any connection, and again, you know, it's and you can see that because it's the same things happening in the last 6 or 7 games. Same things happening again and again and again. We're too slow. We don't shoot enough. We don't have any confidence. We can't pass the ball to each other. It's the same old stuff, and we can see it. The coaches must be able to see it. They must be telling the players. The players aren't doing it. So there's something's going wrong.
Very timid. Very timid.
Yeah, very much so. Very much so. Jeremy, thanks so much for coming on. Really appreciate it, mate.
Hey, thanks, Sam and Jeff. Good to meet you online here. I've been watching you guys for years now, and I mean it. I really enjoy what you do, Jeff. I know you don't get to do it probably as much as you would like, but I enjoy your commentary. I really do. I respect your opinion, and it's an honor to be on here with you guys. So I appreciate it.
Thanks, Jeremy. Hey, no rioting tomorrow, mate. All right?
Don't worry, man. Don't worry.
Love it. That's Jeremy. Thank you so much for everyone that's commented. Only 30 likes. I'm not worried about likes, but apparently it does help. So if you are watching, if you click the thumbs up, that does help. People set like targets on YouTube videos, but I can't be arsed with all that stuff. Jeff, where do we go from here? We may have a cup match on Saturday. We don't quite know yet whether that's going to happen, do we?
I think if there's a game on Saturday, you've got to give Wilshere game time. You've got to give Mepham game time. You've got to give Danjuma game time, and hope that they and Josh King as well. Actually, get those players playing again. I'd give Solanke a rest. Play Surridge up front with King. I think try 4-4-2. It's a bit desperate. I think I'm quite nervous about the next game. We've got a team in Reading who win 3-0 against Coventry. They're flying again, and they're going to look at us and think we're there for the taking. And unless the players buck up, unless the coaches get that kind of unity again and the attitude right, doesn't matter what system you play, we're screwed if we can't go for the second ball and win it and play with aggression. Screwed.
Oh, well, it's been a crazy week. And Jeff, we've got the FA Cup maybe on Saturday and then an interview on Sunday. Do we reveal at this point who's on it?
Yeah, so we are interviewing a former chairman who also is renowned for being fairly outspoken. His name is
Eddie Mitchell. Wow. Yeah, so he's on with us on Sunday. Let's keep the good vibes going, by interviewing Eddie Mitchell. He's going to be on Sunday night at 8 o'clock. We did promise we'd get Eddie at some point, and now we have. Should be an interesting one. Make sure you subscribe to watch that. And that's 8 o'clock on YouTube and also on Facebook as well. So should be really interesting. Right.
One final thing to say, actually, Sam, I don't want to end like this is all negative. I think, we are 5th. It's within our hands to actually do something about this. We've got the quality to do something. We can do it. It's whether we want it enough to do it.
Yeah, that's right. And we absolutely do need to have that fire and that desire. And so many times this season, we've kind of lacked it. But there have been moments. So we've got the technical quality to do it, Jeff, but just haven't witnessed it so far. We wanted to do it tonight in front of the nation, but we wanted to spell out a message that we're back. that does anything but. Fortunately, there's time left in the tank. It's not all doom and gloom. Let's do this together, you know, as a fan base, and hopefully that good feeling will then translate onto the pitch as well. Whilst we can't be there, they pick up on what's going on Twitter. So let's try to be constructive. Let's try to be positive. And you know what? If we play Crawley at the weekend, let's get a win, however it comes, and take that form into the next game, because it's not over yet. We all think it is. We're 5th in the league. It's his first season as well. Maybe we need to give him a little bit of time, but how much time is the question. Anyway, let us know what you think in the comments below. Make sure you like this. And thank you very much for watching. Really appreciate it. See you in the next video. I think I need another one of these.